What's up, guys? It's McNulty here. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. The Ninja Tower is back again for the third time. The first iteration was awesome. Second one was absolutely mind-blowing. So I have no idea what we have to expect from this third iteration of the Ninja Tower heroes, but they are in the portal and we officially have 4 brand new heroes to have a look at today, and they look freaking cool. So we are going to get started. We're going to get cracking. I want to go over these 4 new heroes and see what they hold, because I, for one, am a massive fan of the ninjas in general. So without any further ado, we'll get started. I think we should probably start with the face of the portal. Even though he's not featured, this dude, Nomad, is the guy on the posters. So if he's good, then I'm hoping that the rest of them are going to be good as well. So welcome to the Ninja Tower, one and all. Nomad is our first hero. He is a fire hero and he is of the fighter class. So we definitely like that about him. We'll have a quick look at the Ninja family bonus, but I don't think that they've changed too much except the recent update, which made it so that it starts from 1 hero rather than starting from 2 heroes, which is very long overdue for these ninja heroes. So the family bonus for these guys, they get a bonus for 1, 2, or 3 heroes, anywhere from 5% to 15% chance to dodge both normal attacks and special skills, anywhere from 5% to 15% chance to counterattack with 60, 90, or 120% of the damage received. So very, very decent family bonus now for the Ninja family heroes. And you definitely want to have as many of these guys as possible. You want to collect them all for the Pokédex. So they get another passive as well. And this is a new one. So they resist negative minion effects. That is a very strong passive in today's meta. This character has innate resistance against incoming negative effects and damage from minions. So again, it's kind of like a Lunar New Year hero's passive, where the negative effects and damage from minions just do not trigger and they do not affect these ninja heroes. So if there was ever a reason to want one of them, that is a big reason. It doesn't disable the minion effects like the Lunar New Year heroes, but it just makes it so that this hero specifically is immune to those effects. Now, in terms of stats, we will switch off the max power preview. We can see he's running a team power of 1093. So 1248 on the attack. Very high attack stat for this hero. So if he hits, he's going to hit hard. 1067 on defense, 1664 on the health. So lower stats for the defense and health, but really, really nice high attack stats. So I really do like that. With second limit breaks and emblems, we can see those stats going ballistic. Nearly, I mean, we're getting into the realms of almost 2000 on the attack stat, which is huge. And this guy gets the attack up. So at the beginning of the battle, he's going to get an extra 20% attack for 6 turns. So 20% of 1810. I mean, his attack is going to be like 2,100, something like that, 2,200 for the first 6 turns at the start of the battle if you do limit break this guy and add emblems, of course. In terms of the talent class, we all know about the fighters, so he gets the revive, which I've already said is really good. But yeah, I like the stats, especially if he's an attacking hero. And like I've said before, I love the look of these guys. I mean, I'm a massive fan of Mortal Kombat. For any of you guys who play Mortal Kombat a lot, or back in the day, I don't play it so much anymore, of course. It's mostly Empires and Puzzles. Surprise, surprise. But these ninjas do definitely harken back to that day for me. And yeah, I love the art. Anyways, let's get into the meat of the character. The special skill, which is called Silent Takedown. So, of course, the ninjas have a charge mechanic. They're one of the only heroes, other than the Styx heroes, which have the charge that runs for 3 separate charges. So the first charge, you're looking at about faster than very fast speed. So definitely up within 2 tile matches. Second charge, you're looking at 3 tile matches. And the last charge, you're looking at basically just a little bit slower than slow speed, but you can get it done within 4 tile matches. Pardon me, with the right troop, of course. So in terms of the special, it's called Silent Takedown. And at the first mana charge, he's going to be dealing a nice beefy 400% damage to the target and deals 600% damage if the target has less than 50% health remaining. Damage bypasses the target's minions. If the target's defeated by the attack, then all allies get an increase of 20% mana generation for 2 turns. So at the first charge, he's a pretty solid sniper. I mean, remember that high attack stat? So 400% damage is going to be quite a lot. But if the target has less than 50% health remaining, it's 600% damage. So this guy is a finisher. He's there to take out that hero and make sure that they don't come back. The damage also bypassing the target's minions. It's pretty cool, but sometimes that can work against you. In the case where you want to dispel the minions effect, you want to get rid of the minion, you are going to need a separate minion destroyer. In the case where you've got heroes like Costume Dia-chan just dominating the meta at the moment, where the minions are, really, really strong, you kind of want to take the minion out. So it's kind of 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, but I do kind of like this guy's first charge. Now, charge 2. It's going to increase now. So he deals 425% damage to the target and to the nearby enemies. That's a hefty hit. And then he deals 638% damage to enemies with less than 50% health remaining. Okay, this is interesting because there seems to be a bit of a typo. I was wondering when I read this on the forum if they were going to change this on release, but it has been released the same. So does that then mean that he deals 638% damage to all enemies that have less than 50% health remaining? Or does it just mean that it's between the target and nearby enemies that he just hit? Because the first explanation is very, very specific to the target. This explanation is not specific to the target and nearby. It seems like from the wording, it's going to be dealt to all enemies, but I do feel like there might be a bit of a typo there, because I think that if we are just progressing in the order that we're supposed to progress, then that should be damage to the target nearby. It's still a huge amount. At average speed, he's going to be able to finish off 3 heroes that are less than 50% health. And at that point, I think it becomes really useful that he bypasses the target's minions as well. If the target is then defeated by the attack, all allies get 30% mana generation for 3 turns. That is pretty huge. 30% mana generation can be the difference between, charge and no charge. Third mana charge. I've got my eyes closed. So he deals 450% damage now to all enemies. That's a humongous hit. And deals 675% damage to enemies with less than 50% health remaining. Okay, this guy is a beast. Like, he is just all damage all day long. Couple that with the passive and the family bonus, he's a brutal damage dealer. Again, the damage bypasses the target's minions, and if the target's defeated, all allies get plus 40% mana generation, which they're not going to need because the whole of the enemy team is going to be dead. For 4 turns. So yeah, it's pretty huge. I mean, the caveat where the target needs to be defeated on the end of that one, to give them that 40% mana generation, I'm not sure. And on the other ones, it's kind of a trade-off there, because you're not always going to defeat the target. But even with that being said, the damage that this guy is dishing out is just freaking humongous. So huge congratulations to any of you who do manage to grab Nomad. I certainly would love a copy for myself. Now let's move on to our first of the featured heroes. So we'll go with Iga. So Iga is a holy hero. He is of the cleric class, so he gets a nice mana shield, which is awesome. Same family bonus, so we won't go over that all again. And the same passive again, so we won't go over that again. Now, in terms of the art, I'm not as big of a fan, but I still am a fan. But yeah, he's doing some kind of key. He's got these little daggers, kunai, I think they're called, going around his head. So in terms of his stats, let's have a switch off of the max power preview. He is actually probably one of the strongest heroes in here at 1095 on the team power. Again, humongous attack stats, so we're seeing a kind of common theme. 1275 is probably one of the highest I've seen, to be fair. Over 1,000 on defense, so that's decent, and 1639 on the health. So again, you're going to need to beef them up a bit in that department, but when I say a bit, I really do mean a bit, and don't even worry about it if you can't. Special skill. In fact, let's just check out the ether power. Okay, it gets the Fiend Resist. That's not one of the best ether powers, but it can come into play sometimes. But the special skill is where it's at. So, Kunai Assault. Special skill, at the first mana charge, summons a Kunai Fiend for the target. Okay, so this guy's a Fiend summoner. The Fiend damages the enemy with 150% attack every turn, and the Kunai Fiend absorbs healing and disappears when its absorbed health equal to 45% of its owner's max health. So far, nothing absolutely insane here. The Kunai Fiend explodes after 3 turns. Get this. Dealing 1,850 damage to its target. 1,850 damage, you're dead. I mean, that is just game over. And this is only going to get worse from here. So at very fast speed, he's summoning a Fiend. If you don't remove that Fiend within 3 turns, you're dead, basically. That's what's going on with Iga. Next mana charge. Summons the Kunai Fiend now for the target nearby. The Fiend damages with 175% attack, and now it absorbs up to 50% of its owner's max health. The Kunai Fiend explodes after 3 turns, dealing 2,000 damage to its target. So you are triple dead if you don't heal away this Fiend. I mean, there are some healers that heal for 50%, but they're not a lot of them. So you're going to need to make sure that if you do go up against Iga, you worry massively about getting a nice meaty healer on your team, preferably one that's able to heal for more than 50%. At average speed, which is a big ask. If not, you're going to need to bring out the slow speed healers. Maybe, who is it now? Toon Viv is going to be okay against this guy. Now, next mana charge. Again, summons the Kunai Fiend. The Fiend damages now with 200% attack. And the Fiend now absorbs health equal to 55% of its owner's max health. So it's getting more and more difficult to get rid of these Fiends before the Kunai Fiend explodes after 3 turns, dealing 2,250 damage to its target. Let us see if this increases with limit breaks and emblems. Please, God. Oh, no, it doesn't. Thank goodness for that. So this guy is brutal. He is a Fiend summoner, and it does mean that it's going to take a little while for the damage to trigger. But when it does, he is going to be able to wipe some boards, and he's going to be pretty brutal. I do like the mechanic. I'm not sure that he's, as multidimensional as the hero that we've just looked at, but still a pretty damn good hero. So again, huge congrats if you do manage to get your hands on Iga. We keep going. We got 2 more heroes. I can't even believe this. We got 4 brand new heroes in this portal. So the next hero reminds me again of a Mortal Kombat character. Tell me that's not Melina in the flesh. Copyright pending SG all day long. Massive lawsuit. All the rest of it. Anyways, Tora. So Tora is our dark hero from the new ninjas. She is of the ranger class, so she gets the chance to bypass. Pretty nice if she's doing damage. Same family bonus, which we know about already. Same passives where they resist negative effects and damage from minions as well. And in terms of her stats, we'll just switch it off quickly. Again, 1,095 team power. And again, we see the common theme with the high attack stat, slightly lower defense and HP, but a bit more balanced in Tora's case. In terms of the special boost, as the ether talent, it's an extra 30% damage for the special skill for 6 turns at the start of the battle. So that's pretty decent all around. I'm interested in what she's doing. So the special skill is called Hunt for Prey, which I like the sound of. So at the first mana charge, she's going to deal 400% damage to the target, and an additional 35% damage for each minion or mega minion owned by the enemies, up to 750% damage in total, and the attack bypasses defensive buffs. This will include counterattacks. Right, 400% damage to the target. Of course, her stats are really relevant, so that is going to hit like a truck. Additional 35% damage for each minion or mega minion owned by the enemies. That's quite a cool effect, especially with, like I've mentioned, obviously heroes like Costume Diachan, heroes like Costume Chikao other heroes that we're going to be seeing from the Three Kingdoms family or from the Kingdom family who are going to be summoning these horrible minions. But it doesn't really tackle the problem of mega minions that well, because when a mega minion's summoned, you can only really summon one mega minion. So she's only going to get 1 times that extra 35% damage. So she's going to be more effective against heroes that summon multiple minions, because then you're going to be able to ramp up that damage significantly. Against the mega minions, not quite as effective, but I do like the idea of targeting these mega minions because we don't have a great deal of heroes who can remove them. I'd love a hero. I think we'd all probably love a hero that just destroys mega minions, and that is his special. I'd take him in a heartbeat. Please make him a 4-star. Just make him a 4-star. That's all I'm asking. Second mana charge for Tora. 425% damage to the target and nearby enemies. That's a pretty whopping hit at second mana charge. Just for that alone, I like her a lot. And then she gets the extra damage for each minion or mega minion owned by the enemies, up to 775% in total. It's interesting because it says the same percentage of damage, so I'm not sure how the maths work out on that. But anyway, that is what it is. So she gets the extra damage per minion, but a nice hit to the target nearby. Now at the third mana charge, it's 450% damage to all enemies again. Like I said, that is a whopping hit. And then the additional damage triggers for each minion or mega minion owned by the enemies. And this time, it goes up to 800% damage in total. There must be some maths involved with that. I don't really understand the maths involved with that, so I'm just going to leave it at that. She deals extra damage per minions owned, and it can get up to 800% damage depending on how many minions the enemies have. And that's it. Enough said. The nicest part about this as well is that the attack bypasses defensive buffs. Now, if any of you run Sobek from Season 4, I love that hero, and he's fantastic, and he only deals 290% damage to all enemies. Granted, he's running at average speed, but this hero is doing the same thing, 425% damage to the target nearby at the same speed. If you just wait that one charge longer, it's gonna wipe a team out. There's no after effect in terms of like sand damage or anything like that, but the extra damage per minions is kind of the trade-off that you're making with this hero. So she is going to be fantastic. Again, huge congratulations to any of you who get your hands on Tora. I really need to drop some pulls in this portal. I'm just reading these cards and my mouth is freaking watering. These heroes are great. Anyways, we have got one other new hero in the portal who they have chosen not to feature. For some reason, they chose to feature Tamitomo, who we all know, and came in kind of under the radar. But why have they not just gone with this guy or this guy? Anyways, let's have a look at our last hero from this portal, which is Chikao. So Chikao is of the monk class. He is a nature hero, so that is awesome. He gets the same family bonus and he gets the same passive, which we've talked about already. I've talked your ears off already about that. And he benefits from the attack up ether talent. So at the start of the battle, he's going to get an additional 20% attack for 6 turns. That's probably one of the best ether talents out. In terms of the stats, we'll switch off the max power preview. 1093. Again, the common theme running right through these heroes, and it has been actually from the start, is that the ninjas have a much higher attack. But remember, they get that family bonus as well. Sorry, he's just disappeared. So what I was going to say is the family bonus is really cool for these guys because they get that dodge and they get that counter attack, mainly the dodge, but it gives them that extra level of survivability where they don't need their defensive stats to be quite as high. So I really, really like that about the ninjas, and the fact that they've kept it to where the attack stat is a lot higher than any of the other stats. Now, Chikao's special going to be called Fatal Dreams, and again, he's running at the charge mechanic. Just by the by, I really do like the way this guy looks. So, first mana charge dispels buffs from the enemies on the edges of the enemy formation. That's interesting. Deals 300% damage to the enemies on the edges of the formation. If there's only one enemy alive, the damage is doubled. The enemies on the edges of the enemy formation then fall asleep. So we're seeing the sleep effect come back into play quite a bit. and receive 60% increased damage while sleeping. So it says again, a sleeping character can't gain mana. The sleeping target's woken once it takes damage, excluding damage from minions and fiends, and the effect's uncleanseable. That's pretty cool. So it's the first time that we've seen this in this order. It is a priority dispel. Sorry, I really am getting frustrated with him just disappearing all the time. He is a ninja, so that is what they do. Sometimes they hide, and they hide in the shadows and things like that. But we want to see him. So, what I was saying is, it's interesting that he does have a priority dispel, and it is to the targets on the edges of the formation. I like the amount of damage, and also obviously with his high attack stat, that's great. And then putting those enemies to sleep on the edges is actually quite nice and tactical, because then it means that you can sort of play your tiles on the edges. Play your tiles in the middle of the board, and work that way, and then get your charge up to where you wake them up. I don't know how you want to do it, but it's pretty cool. They fall asleep anyway. Second mana charge. Dispels buffs from the enemies on the edges of the formation. So again, we're on the edges of the formation, and that's not going to change. It's just going to be edges of the formation for this guy. So that kind of is maybe a little bit of a downside compared to heroes who would, start with targeting 1, then targeting 3, and then targeting all. For this guy, you're stuck on the edges of the board. So that could be a problem. So second mana charge, we're just going to see the damage increase up from, 300% now to 485. That's a huge jump. And then if there's only one enemy alive, the damage is doubled. The enemies fall asleep again, and now they receive 80% increased damage while sleeping. Okay. Third mana charge, again the same dispel. Whoa. Is that a typo, man? Deals 900% damage to the enemies on the edges of the enemy formation. That is a kill snipe if I ever saw one. I have Uwe, and he's 850% damage, and he's a kill every single time. So 900% damage with that stat for his attack is just going to... it says if there's only one enemy alive, there will be no enemies alive after that hit. It's just insane. The enemies on the edges then fall asleep, and they receive 100% increased damage while sleeping. Man. This guy's brutal. I'm just thinking now. If you get him to, let's say, his second charge, and you do that 485% damage to the enemies on the edges, they then fall asleep, and then within 2 tile matches, you can give them an extra 300% damage, which is going to be increased by 80%. This guy's very tactical, but I feel like he could be extremely good. Remains to be seen. As far as all of the other heroes in here, I would say Chikao is probably my least favorite, but saying that, he's still a freaking awesome hero. So I like this guy. The priority dispel means that you are going to make sure that that target falls asleep, and then you can get him back around pretty quickly to where he's going to be doing some serious damage on his second hit as well. Just an insane lot of ninja heroes. If you pull any of these heroes from this portal, except for maybe Tamitomo, we don't want him, but any of the other heroes from the new ninjas, you can be patting yourself on the back because they're all freaking awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about these guys. I really need to find a way to get in here and get some pulls done because I want one of these ninjas. Please do let me know in the comments what you guys think of our new ninjas. Let me know if you do manage to pull any of them. I'm sure there'll be loads of people pulling these heroes today. But yeah, I think we're all excited about the new ninja family. So definitely give us a shout. Drop us a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Share it with your mother. And I'll see you again next time. Bye for now, guys.